alert. The Trump administration has done an unbelievable job at securing our border and ramping up deportations, but we're still seeing the horrific effects of an infiltration. Welcome to Christy Lee's DC Dispatch. DC, pretty quiet today, but President Trump is set to return from his 5-day trip to Scotland this evening. Coming up, LindellTV's Allison Steinberg is in D.C. with the latest on illegal immigration and exposing Democrats' hatred of white people. The Praying Citizen is also coming up with the latest headlines and how to pray about them, including some shocking details about that MLK document release. And stick around for tips on how to benefit from Trump's booming economy. But first, we're so blessed to be able to bring you the truth out of D.C. with the support of our fearless leader, Mike Lindell. Please continue to support his efforts. I mean, this guy has come up against all kinds of persecution, from big box store cancellations to ad pulls from so-called conservative media. So with your support, he continues to see God's favor. Send a big message that you appreciate his work. You can do that by going to mypillow.com. Go ahead and use promo code KL when you're buying some more of your favorite My Pillows. If you haven't tried the My Slippers yet, I encourage you, get a pair. Your whole family is going to want them. Okay. These things are so convenient to throw on in the house and then just be able to run out the door and run your errands. Love those things. He's also got the amazing, better than hotel quality towels. Love those. I got a purple set of these towels because purple is my jam. And so they're light lavender, if you will. There are so many names for purple, isn't there? Lavender, lilac, purple, violet. I mean, it is the best color. There's no question. Anyways, use promo code KL, support Mike Lindell, support this network, and support what I'm trying to do here. All right, starting with some breaking election news. Arizona State Senator Mark Finchem and whistleblower Sean Taylor are unveiling a bombshell investigation into a $1 billion money laundering scheme involving ActBlue, shocker, with inflated property sales and same-day flips funneling cash through political and cartel channels. And this could directly threaten election security. They're calling it the motherlode of all financial crimes, suggesting legal funds might be swaying elections. And with evidence handed to the DOJ and FBI, it could trigger congressional hearings to protect our votes. This is a years-long investigation with Finchem and the whistleblower Sean Taylor. It's just wild. They're saying same-day property transfers, values inflated as much as 100 times the original sale amount within hours. And this is all based on property sales history pulled from LexisNexis. I'm sure you recognize that name, one of the most trusted top-tier real estate and public record platforms. And here's what Senator Finchem had to say. He said, this isn't just about real estate fraud. This is about the financial pipelines that fuel everything rotten in America right now. When you see numbers this big, you're looking at cartel money, you're looking at human trafficking cash, you're looking at foreign adversaries buying influence through corrupted systems. We are going to follow the money. Meanwhile, more Blue City violence to report. A gunman went on a rampage in a Manhattan skyscraper Monday evening, killing 4 people, including a cop, before taking himself out. But get this, he missed his target, the NFL offices, and hit the wrong floor in a botched attack. They say 27-year-old Shane Devin Tamura from Las Vegas had some grudge against the NFL, but ended up causing chaos at Blackstone's headquarters instead. Allison Steinberg is live in D.C. with the latest on this attack and how it relates to Democrats' love of violence and illegal immigration. But, you know, we saw how the legacy media is handling this one. It's like, never want a crisis go to waste.
Yeah, which is always with these Democrats and the fake news. They really can never see it in themselves. So just tell the story as it is and move along with the facts. They always have to twist it and manipulate it into some story that benefits them and their narrative. And with this particular case, it is let's immediately try to blame white people, which is laughable, actually, because the shooter in this instance is not actually white. He's a black man. So that's just the fact of the story. But let's rewind here and take a listen to how these details were initially relayed to the public on CNN when the story initially broke yesterday. Take a listen.
Between 51st and 52nd Streets, carrying an M4 rifle in his right hand, he walks towards the building's entrance. That individual was seen exiting the BMW alone. The building's security camera footage shows the shooter enter the lobby, turn right, and immediately open fire on an NYPD officer. He then
showing you here, John's reporting that they do know what he looks like, male, possibly white, mustache, sunglasses, in that building, isolated to, they believe, to various locations, including upper floors, is where they're focused. What are you?
So we kind of took the wrong clip to begin with at first, but it does show the contrast, just the delivering of the facts. And then you have CNN quick to say possibly white male. Where did they even get that from?
I don't even know. I guess they only had a very far back aerial view of the guy, and in that view, he perhaps looked white. But if you don't know, why even bother saying it? I mean, if you don't have the facts, then just don't. Why does the color of the skin matter? All we know is there's a shooter on the loose, and he just shot 5 people. These are the details that are important, not the color of the skin. But it's just actually hilarious now when we know the details of the shooter, and it's now come out exactly who it is. If we want to throw up the graphic on the screen here, what this man actually looks like, clearly not white at all. So, it's
Allison, just to add a little bit of extra context to this, working in many newsrooms, I was there when they started implementing, we don't always need to say young black male, when it comes to stories. If it doesn't help them find the perpetrator, if there's no reason for saying it, then don't say it, which I agreed with. Some were like, oh, you just want to cover up, black crime or whatever. But no, I agreed with it. If there was no value added to the story, if it wasn't going to help somebody track them down, I'm looking for a black guy. Okay, that doesn't really narrow things down. Only say it if it actually added to the ability to find this individual or whatever. And I was completely on board with that. But it's wild that we in a local market were given those directives. So I imagine we were getting it down from network level, that this was the new directive. Don't bother saying that element if it doesn't add any value to the story. And so the fact that on a network level, they know this, but they had no problem throwing that out the window and saying possibly white male, in this story. Can you imagine? What I'm saying is, can you imagine if they were saying possibly black male and it wasn't a black male? There would be an uproar.
Yeah, there sure would be. And it just goes to show how quick outlets like CNN are to, ramp up this race war that they have created themselves. And it's just all about, further dividing the country. I mean, why are they so quick to point the fingers at the white people? Would they do that to a black man? I don't think so. To your point, Christy, I just don't think it would happen that way. And in fact, when it is a black man or any other ethnicity or race for that matter, they actually do everything they can to try to conceal that information for as long as possible. So it's just very interesting to see the stark dichotomy, the drastic difference in how they address these situations dependent on the color of someone's skin. It really is wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, this is what Democrats are, known for now. It's all about division. I actually spoke to a very nice gentleman here from Chile outside of the White House gates earlier today when we were doing a little man on the street segment. And he said, I asked him what he thought about President Trump. He thought he was great. I asked him what was wrong with the Democrats. He said all they do is divide. They, judge everyone based on the color of their skin and, all these division tactics that we see time and time again. And this is still, unfortunately, ringing true to this day. I guess it's only one of the few tactics that Democrats have left, because now another recent example of this is this American Eagle ad that has gone viral, not because, it's a great ad or anything, which I don't know. I don't think it's bad. It's great compared to what it used to be. Not too long ago, American Eagle tried to go woke and probably went broke because of it. So now they're really changing their tune. And now they have Hollywood actress Sydney Sweeney modeling a pair of jeans, and the left cannot handle it. They're saying this is Nazi propaganda. I'm not even kidding you. Just take a look at this.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has her genes.
You guys are complaining about that Sydney Sweeney jeans ad, so I went and saw it.
That's
Nazi propaganda. Wow. I thought it was gonna be like kind of bad. That's gonna be in history books.
Should we be surprised that a company whose name is literally American Eagle is making fascist propaganda like this? Probably not, but it's still really shocking. Like, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman is talking about her good genes. Like, that is Nazi propaganda.
It's so ridiculous, and it's like so obvious they're raging with jealousy. And I mean, come on, it's a joke. It's a play on words. It's a double entendre. It's funny. I mean, come on. I mean, although I think, you know, we can pick apart overly sexy or whatever and get mad about that. But I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah.
It's just. They're mad because these are the people that were being glorified before. The non-binary, the edgy, the fat. I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and say it. The fat models. And now that they're going back to like pretty, they can't handle it.
They can't handle it. They hate anything that is all American and, you know, attractive, things that, you know, a guy might actually want to look at. They're all about just being as ugly and grotesque as humanly possible. And yeah, you're right. They're bitter. That is no longer a thing. They're bitter. That's no longer in. And that many companies, not just American Eagle, are moving away from it. The good news here, though, is that the radical progressives account for such a tiny percent of the population that if they're so upset about this and they try to implement some sort of boycott, like, you know, they will, it'll probably not be too effective, like, you know, it was with Target and Budweiser when conservatives actually stood up for traditional values and refused to shop there and spend their money with these woke companies. So, you know, they can try to boycott all they want and post all these stupid social media videos, but it's probably not going to make too much of a dent in the situation. And I think perhaps will only inspire more companies to continue on this path because clearly this is what the people want.
You know, President Trump gets a lot of flack when he says Democrats, they hate America. But here's an example. They literally hate America. Her example given was like, I shouldn't be surprised that a company like American Eagle would have Nazi propaganda. And it's just so maddening. If you hate it here so much, you can go. Leave.
Thank
if you hate it here so much. And so it just
really is that simple. It is absolutely maddening. No one has to be here if they don't want to, especially the illegals, mind you. They seem to have a real problem with us. But, you know, it's just ridiculous that this narrative has spread and that this is actually a conversation that's being had in America. If you hate it here so much, if you think, you know, they would probably call outlets like LindellTV, this conversation between you and I right now, Christy, Nazi propaganda. It's so absurd. So if you hate it so much, please leave. We don't need you here. But the frightening thing, Christy, is that many of these, you know, radical left progressives, straight out communists are actually infiltrated into our government. We know this is true. Just look at Ilhan Omar and others. I mean, I think we have a graphic that highlights how many just Somalians alone are in our government now. So this is extremely disturbing. These are the same people that want to shame people like you and I for just simply existing in the country that we're actually from. I don't know how these people actually get into our government here, how they ever even hold a position of office, but it is deeply concerning. And it's people like Ilhan Omar that are trying to bring this country down. It's people like Ilhan Omar that literally tell Somalians her top priority is to put Somalia first and expand its territory. I'm quoting from her. This is a quote from Ilhan Omar. The U.S. government will do what we want, nothing else. They must follow our orders. That is how we safeguard the interests of Somalia. So these people don't even hide it. She doesn't even try to, you know, assimilate with American culture or get on board with American values and everything that we stand for here in this country. No, she's trying to bring Somalia into America, and then we must adapt, or else, you know, we are somehow the bad guys. It's so completely backwards, and I can't even believe that this is actually happening in our country.
Yeah, it's frightening. I mean, they're elected to be representatives, and apparently they think they can choose to represent whatever they want. No, you're supposed to be representatives for the American people. Sorry, we had to clarify that for you.
Exactly. Ilhan Omar also said Trump's immigration policy threatens criminals. I mean, these people just don't even hide it. They say the quiet part out loud. It is just amazing that they're so forward with their corrupt ways of thinking and their policies that clearly don't align with America. It's very concerning because, you know, if the country doesn't get a handle on these illegals and these Muslims and Congress and even the Senate, you know, we're ultimately going to devolve into a real insurrection here. And we've already seen how unhealthy the squad members are to the body politic. So it really is alarming. I feel like it's rapidly expanding. Then you look over to NYC with Zohran Mamdani, who is literally running for mayor in New York City and somehow has like a decent following there. It's deeply concerning. I mean, this guy's from Uganda. He supports the Free Palestine movement, and he has literally called multiple times to defund the police, especially after this most recent shooting in New York. I guess he's been, you know, vocal about that yet again. So, I mean, these people are completely infiltrating our government, and I think they need to be stopped. I don't know how we do this if the DOJ initiates some denaturalization proceedings or what needs to happen here, but something's got to change because trajectory not good if this continues.
Well, I mean, is it any surprise? I mean, with New York City still having an enormous amount of illegals, that being a concentrated center of illegals. And the thing is like when they have these areas of concentrations with illegals, I don't even think that they actually need the illegals voting. I think that just bodies they're able to use to perpetuate their cheating scams. So it's not really a surprise that Mamdani would be leading in an area where they have so many fungible numbers, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's so true. I mean, that was the whole goal of the Democrats, bringing in all of these illegals into the country under the Biden regime, namely when, you know, millions of them were let in. Now these people somehow are able to influence elections and outcomes of votes and whatnot. So it is deeply disturbing that, you know, many of these people are still here, as much as Trump and his administration are working to deport. You know, the reality is many of them are still here, and it's going to be a huge task to try to get rid of every single one of them that was let in under Biden. I mean, you hear various numbers, 15 million, 20 million, I don't know. But so far, I mean, we're not quite there yet where they're all gone.
Yeah. And let's be very clear about why we should care about this, why every American should care about this. It has nothing to do with the color of their skin, but the clear and present danger of the ideology behind different cultures in America, particularly in a case that I know you want to break down for us that is just so frightening about, I mean, and appalling and just unbelievable that this could happen in America. But please break that down.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this just highlights the stark differences in values, in how we operate in day-to-day life. These, you know, people coming into our country, it's one thing to come here legally. It's another to just come in illegally and then expect everyone else to assimilate. This is what the reality of the situation is. There are parents over in Washington State I'm sorry, parent. Let me find their names here. I'm trying to find that for you. Zara Ali of Lacey, Washington. These are two parents of Fatima Ali, who actually was attempted to be forced to marry an older man over in her home country in Iraq. The parents tried to remove the daughter from school. They allegedly arranged to have her marry an older man back in October of 2024. The daughter was only 17 at the time, and both parents, as a result of this, were detained shortly after the attack and have been held since then on bond, $1 million and $500,000 for them. But it just goes to show, again, this is what is happening in America today. This is, again, in Washington State. This young 17-year-old girl just trying to go about her daily life, even alerted her counselors that this was going on. And the parents tried to take her away, take her out of school to go back to Iraq to marry some old man. And, you know, I can't even fathom that this is a real situation happening in America. But I mean, again, if you try to oppose this, if you try to, you know, show any concern or you know, stop the situation from happening, these people would obviously go against you and not respect that this is not okay in America. They just want you to assimilate to their ways here. So I find it very concerning and very sad that this is happening in many circumstances. Oftentimes we don't even know. So that's just one example of many, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's so many examples that we would take up the whole show on just this topic alone. I mean, I was just hearing before I got on with you that the Boston Police Department is actively trying to recruit like an Islamist force. Like, wait, what? You know, it just doesn't even make any sense. They're actively trying to hire Islamists, and apparently it's to honor, you know, some of their rules, and it just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's just so wild. I can't believe we're in this place. But there's way too many examples to give. But at the most fundamental level, we've seen countless examples of American citizens put in danger or killed because illegals are here. And I hate that argument where like, oh, well, there's so much more crime among American citizens, or murders or deaths or American citizens. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because if these people that are here weren't here like they weren't supposed to be, then those lives would be saved. So it doesn't matter the numbers in this case. There's lives that would possibly be here today if Biden hadn't had his open border policy and allowed these criminals to be there. And it's continuing to happen.
Yeah, it is continuing to happen, and it's so sad. It's so sick. You look back at all these stories that we've heard about, you know, the Rachel Morans, the Riley, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name now. But there's just been countless stories of these poor girls who have lost their lives far too early because of situations where illegal aliens were let into the country and never should have been here in the first place. And then innocent lives are cut short, or, you know, horrible things have happened to these poor, you know, unsuspecting people who are just trying to go about their daily lives and have been attacked or raped or murdered by these sick aliens that should never have been let in the first place. It gets worse, though, unfortunately, because, you know, these aliens that are here that are eating up resources from Americans who actually need them are defended left and right by the Democrats, as we know. Democrats are actually now going so far as to sue in order to give welfare to these illegals. I guess they're upset that Trump is kicking these aliens off of the SNAP benefits program. So now Democrats are going after Trump and suing so that aliens can continue to receive welfare benefits. Let's take a listen to New York Attorney General Letitia James more on this.
Thank you, Attorney General Bonta. The SNAP program is a critical lifeline for tens of millions of Americans throughout our country, and specifically 2.9 New Yorkers. Every day, SNAP benefits make it possible for working families to afford to put food on the table. And more than half of those who receive SNAP are families with children, and more than a third have elderly or disabled family members. Without SNAP, many families would not be able to count on their next meal. For decades, SNAP has prevented people from going hungry and saved countless lives. But now, this administration is attempting to use this program as a tool in their cruel and chaotic targeting of immigrants. It is outrageous. It is unacceptable. And this administration has demanded that states hand over sensitive personal information of all SNAP recipients going back to 2020. That includes addresses, social security numbers, immigration statuses, and more. This is not for research or to improve a service that millions count on. No, they are basically trying to weaponize the SNAP program against immigrant communities in violation of the law. And we collectively will not stand for it. That is the administration's plans, and they have made it abundantly clear. They even removed a notice on the USDA's website that promised people could apply for and receive SNAP benefits without immigration consequences. We will not allow this life-saving program to be illegally used to hunt down immigrants and their families. No one should fear for their safety when they seek food assistance for their families. And this administration cannot intimidate vulnerable families and prevent them from putting food on the table. Today, Attorney General Bonta, Attorney General Dana Nessel, and I are co-leading a coalition of our fellow Democratic attorneys general in suing this administration to protect SNAP and the sensitive personal information of all of its recipients.
I mean, So many thoughts there. She's defending something that these folks predominantly do not pay into. So she's demanding that we all carry this burden, something that they frequently deny. Oh, illegals don't get these types of benefits. But yet when they're taken away, they cry foul. And she also reveals there that many of these illegals have Social Security numbers, and that here's another issue that they try and deny on occasion. So there's so much packed into that.
Yeah, there really is. And it's amazing because on one hand, you're right, they say they're not getting Social Security numbers. The other hand, well, obviously they are because they're getting these benefits, which they also deny that they get. So yeah, clearly they are getting them. We know this is true. And if we need to use their information that they are submitting for these benefits to track them down, then I say, green light ahead, go for it. I mean, this is how we get these people out of this country. They shouldn't be receiving these benefits anyway. Why aren't we protecting American citizens who actually need these benefits? Not to mention a large majority of the people who are receiving them, illegal aliens, included in this, namely, are just, not really contributing to society in a meaningful way, right? They're just, taking the easy road, trying to get free food. And it's wrong because there's many people that are unfortunately in terrible positions that actually need these benefits. And now these illegal aliens are taken away from people who could actually use it. So the Democrats just go to show how heartless they are with this latest move that they prioritize illegal aliens over actual American citizens. It really is quite sad. And it makes my heart break for the people that really need the benefits and won't get them because I guess aliens are more important in America.
Of course, they just always seem to have such an easier way about getting these things. It's wild to me. Going back to the violence that we're succumbed to with this continuing problem, now even more lives have been lost.
Yeah, well, as we know, Trump is working tirelessly with the deportation efforts, and ICE has been doing an incredible job. In fact, though, yes, there are lives that are sadly lost every day because of these violent criminals, Trump has officially set a new record for criminal prosecutions of illegal aliens. The threat of jail time, I guess, is a very big issue for these aliens, a big deterrent to the border jumpers. But the Justice Department actually did just set a record in June with more than 3,000 felony cases brought against aliens who prosecutors charged with illegal re-entry. Now, in addition to that, the prosecutors, there are 3,200 cases for simple illegal entry in June, which isn't a record, but it is more than 50% of all Border Patrol arrests last month, which is a record rate of prosecution. So by contrast, just to give you an idea of how much of an improvement this is, in 2023, at the height of Biden's border surge, that rate never reached 1%. So this is good. We're making improvements. We are setting records here. As we know, also for the last 2 months, there's been zero entries by any illegals whatsoever. So the numbers are looking good, but like I said in the beginning of the hit, Christy, there's still a lot of work to be done. And I know ICE is working tirelessly day in and day out to make these arrests and deportations happen, but I just don't know if it's possible to actually get everyone that was let in under Biden because that number was so massive. And unfortunately, the fallout as a result of that has been massive too, sadly. Lives lost, murders, rapes, violence, whatnot. It's just devastating. So we're grateful for the team doing everything they can, but I don't know. The efforts have to continue to ramp up and continue.
Yeah, and we are learning more about 2 teens that would still be alive if not for these sanctuary policies that protect illegal immigrants. It turns out that the illegal woman that hit them got a DUI. This was not her first. And so unfortunate that we weren't able to make this a priority sooner and possibly save lives like that. But another thing that's interesting is when it comes to illegals, it's really wild that they care about SNAP benefits and medical care and everything, but you almost never see them pushing the vaccines on the illegal immigrants. We saw it at the border. We saw that even at the height of COVID, they were not requiring immigrants the highest risk, if you believed all of that. they were not requiring them to get the COVID-19 vaccine, as they were mandating military members and everyday Joes to keep their job. They would need to get the shot. I believe that we are seeing another case of that, where we're going to just ignore the illegals, but we're going to now, the AAP wants to demand parents jab up their kids, right? You have something new on that?
Yeah, it is despicable. I guess aliens get a free pass for anything. Maybe it'd be better if we, left down through Mexico and re-entered and identified as an illegal alien. Might get away with a little bit more here. But yeah, it's despicable. The American Academy of Pediatrics is now going after vaccine exemptions. For religious exemptions, they want to revoke this option entirely from parents. Dr. Mary Talley Bowden posted about this. She points out they received, the American Academy of Pediatrics received almost $35 million from both HHS and USAID last year. And now they want to just strip these religious exemptions away entirely. So no religious exemptions, no personal choice, just, total compliance from us plebes here that don't get a say or a choice in anything. I think this just goes to show what a direct, all-out assault this is on parental rights and informed consent as a whole. It's really disgusting.
Yeah, this would definitely be going backwards and continue the homeschooling revolution, I believe. Disgusting. I hate to see that they're still trying to do this to us. It's totally un-American. Well, Allison, I got to get going, move on to our next guest. But thank you so much, Allison, for keeping it down there in D.C. and letting us know the latest details.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Christy.
You bet. All right, coming up, we have document dumps, Obamagate, Epstein, and shocking new details about MLK assassination. But first, quick word from our friends who make this programming possible.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally.
And welcome back to DC Dispatch. It has been a passion of mine to always keep God at the center of delivering this news that you need to know. And thankfully, I met Lori Cawley. She's of the Praying Citizen, and she has also a passion for covering news headlines from a biblical worldview. She does a great job writing a Substack. Her and her husband, Bob, they keep the Praying Citizen newsletter up to date. So that we can sort through the noise and nonsense and provide excellent content and prayer points on politics and culture. So welcome back, Lori. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. It's good to be with you. Boy, I really sweated this one out. I thought about all of us who have always had a special place in our heart for Martin Luther King Jr. and what he tried to do to bring up the minorities in this country and help them. And boy, did we get a surprise, at least I did last week, with the release of those files. So I wanted to update everybody on that because let's face it, I don't know how you, Christy, keep up with things because there's so much flying around. It's like it's like you're grabbing things out of the air, trying to, make sense of things. So last week was just busy as every day is in the Trump administration. So we have those files that were fully released, 240 1,000 pages were released last week. But I also wanted to bring your viewers up to date on some of these, weird things, these assassination attempts or actual successful assassination of people in the political sphere. So I thought we would start with would-be assassin Ryan Ruth. Now, he's a guy that was hiding out at the golf course last fall before the election, and he wanted to take out Donald Trump. So he tried to purchase a military rocket or an RPG from Ukraine because he was really pro-Ukraine. And he wrote that Trump is not good for Ukraine, so got to take that guy out. And then he signaled his intent of murder by saying he needed equipment so Trump doesn't become president. All right, so we know that he was caught before something terrible happened, and he faces trial in September. Well, what's interesting, you look at the connections, you look at people's backgrounds, and you see a disaster. And a lot of the disaster that I see is in the sexual area because I kind of keep my eye on what's happening with our culture in that aspect. And so there's more to the story because he has a son who's a convicted pervert. And it's just stuff travels through generations, like the Bible tells us, third and fourth generation of those who hate God. So his son, Orrin, was arrested last week and sentenced to 84 months in jail for possession of child porn. Now, during the hearing, the judge noted that because of his involvement in a pro-child abuse web channel, so this would be a place where these despicable people go to share stories, share techniques, post just the worst, possible images. Well, that's where they go to swap stories and stuff. So he was part of this website. And, of course, there's a split family in this. His parents were married until he was, I think, 13 or 12 or 13. Then he lived with his mother, Laura. And then when he was 15, he refused to go to church with her, so she kicked him out of the house. He went to live with his dad. And then, according to the court filings, his dad kicked him down the stairs. And he left his dad's house. And then mom describes dad as being a sex addict. So, it's just like, oh my gosh. So who knows what's in this guy's background and what they're going to find out and what else might come out in that trial in September. So he was, the son was investigated in 2023, but they didn't follow up on any of it. They started, finding stuff on Orrin, but until his dad tried to assassinate President Trump, they didn't do anything. So that's kind of, I suppose if you're in law enforcement, you go with the stuff that's critical, and maybe they didn't consider him to be a critical threat anyway.
Lori, can't help but think of the whole biblical element of, eyes being the window to the soul. When you look at these pictures, so often these bug eyes, I joked yesterday, Kristen Welker had those bug eyes when she was grilling Lindsey Graham and trying to defend the Russia lie. And then that picture of Orrin, it's so creepy. He's just kind of like bug-eyed, cockeyed right there. Yeah, it's a creepy picture.
It's and like you said, and we've been seeing that. Think about Charles Manson, just throughout history, these people, when we've had photos available. Okay, so then let's move on to the shooter in Minnesota, Vance Belter. And you and I talked about him recently. Yeah. So he was an evangelical missionary, very pro-life, but he shot and killed a Minnesota lawmaker and her husband, and then before he shot her and killed her, he had tried to kill another Minnesota lawmaker and his wife, and their daughter was in the room. And anyway, they survived, thank God. So recently, and again, this stuff just kind of goes by because we are all so busy that we keep up with everything.
News cycle. Yeah.
So he sent a letter, or he had a letter in his car written to FBI Director Kash Patel, and then they published it, and in it he confessed to the killings and predicted he'd soon be dead. So then he says he's been trained since college by U.S. military people, and he was serving on projects all over the world. And then he said that the stuff that he did shooting these people was all in the line of doing what I thought was right and best for the interest of the United States. Well, in this letter that you're showing right there, he says that, and you can see there's many lines in here. I don't know what the deal is. The guy has a PhD in education, or I think leadership. So who knows, I guess it's like written on toilet paper, his PhD, but he writes in here that Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, wants to be a senator, and he doesn't trust blank and blank to retire as planned, and that she is planning to stay at the last minute. With Amy plus blank gone, then Governor Walz would get one of the open Senate seats and wants to be governor, and then Keith Ellison, who's the Minnesota Attorney General, would be rewarded with a generous position. So he says Tim Walz, the governor, was trying to hire him to kill Amy Klobuchar, who's a senator, and Tina Smith. All right, so, what? And then he says he responded to Walz, saying he wanted nothing to do with it, called the plan off, or I will go public. So he described the killing, saying he was able to get away by God's mercy, and went back a short time later and shot at both blank and blank. He doesn't explain why he's shooting at people that weren't even supposedly mentioned by Governor Walz. What state lawmakers? He doesn't want their position. These people are in the State House of Minnesota. So then he notes that he didn't fire at police, but he could have. He had every opportunity. And then he invites Patel to call Tim Walz and verify all of this. And he says Walz supported him, which is true, and placed him on the governor's workforce board. That Walz kept the initial reports about the shots fired from the press, which I think it took a while for that information to come out, which who knows, maybe that's true. It's probably a mix of truth and lies. And then he says he knows.
Well, it almost seems like an MK Ultra case gone wrong. It's like they tried to program this guy to be the pro-life Trumper but it didn't work out because he was already obviously publicly connected to Tim Walz, and maybe he wasn't fully programmed because he was able to reveal some weirdness with Tim Walz and the plan that got misconstrued in his broken MK Ultra brain or something. It's like you have to think of these wild explanations because none of it makes sense.
None of it does. And it's the brainwashing, right? And we talked about that the last time. It's just how the MK Ultra is the brainwashing program, and it works. And there's a Netflix documentary on the Unabomber, who was MK Ultra'd at, I believe, at Harvard. So I think people are starting to understand this stuff isn't made up; it's real.
Yeah.
Now we get to MLK Jr. And here's, this one is really sad. And so you bring out the truth, and there are going to be people who say it's lies. You're just trying to smear this wonderful person. All right, so we can all be the judge of what is in these files. So they were released and they're available in the government archives. These are memos and summaries. Now the summaries are typed, and then, like we used to do back in the day, you would write corrections in the margins or, so that's what we basically have, like a rough draft before, I guess, the final draft was printed. And then there are also some newspaper articles. So again, 240,000 pages. Now, when I went to the website, there were maybe 230 pages. So I'm not really sure where all the rest of it is. But back in January, President Trump signed an executive order to release all this stuff. And then in 2027, we're supposed to have the audio recordings of the wiretaps that they did on King's phone. All right, so the media claims that there are no bombshells in these Martin Luther King Jr. files. And then the AP, always a stalwart of telling the truth, adds that Trump pushed the files out now because it deflects from Jeffrey Epstein. Whatever. He signed the thing back in, I don't know, whatever. That's the AP. So the King children tried to block the release, but Alveda King, who's MLK's niece, she thanked President Trump because she's a strong Trump supporter. So there are two main things we should know about Mr. King. He was not a Christian in any way, shape, or form, either by the content of his preaching or the content of his character. And number two, he was a communist who wanted to bring Soviet-style government into the United States using the issues of racism and civil rights as a way to bring that stuff in. So the FBI spied on him because of his Communist Party affiliations, and the one who signed that approval was Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy. He kind of went back and forth, and he finally approved on surveilling him from November of 63 to April of 65. And because of the surveillance on his communist activities, they caught up all this information about his moral character. Now, I don't know if you had heard this. I had already heard years ago that he had a problem with women, and he was always cheating on his wife. Well, that's just a tip of the iceberg. He was a consummate hypocrite. He was a braggart. He had a foul mouth. He was a sexual pervert, and he relished punishing women who wouldn't perform, quote, unnatural sex acts. And so we have a page there. So the agent is writing a summary. And he says, on one occasion, a Maryland minister brought to Washington several women parishioners of his church. The group met in his room and discussed which women among the parishioners would be suitable for natural or unnatural sex acts. When one of the women protested that she did not approve of this unnatural acts, the Baptist minister immediately and forcibly raped her. King looked on, laughed, and offered advice. Now, can you imagine a pastor taking his women parishioners? I mean, first of all, what husband would let his wife go? Just horrible.
Obviously, Lori, that these allegations are going to be hard pill to swallow for some, because there's great reverence from MLK, especially because he has been sold to us as a Christian. And, so this one's tricky. I mean, the opposite side would be like, well, why would you trust these documents? Like, these agencies have always been corrupt. Maybe they were just trying to take him out because he was a good person. So it can get tricky at times to make sense of all of this.
I agree. And if I hadn't read the stuff myself and seen who's going to know that all this went on? Well, they interviewed the prostitutes that were also hired to be part of this stuff. And there's just page after page after page. And I suppose it could all be made up. But so if we take all of that out, he still was a communist, because you go down to, he founded something called the Southern Christian Leadership Council. That came after the march in Montgomery or Selma, Alabama, or before, but it came out of, his activities in Alabama. So in 1957, he founds the Southern Christian Leadership Council, and their headquarters were in Atlanta, and they used civil dissent, such as boycotts and marches, to protest segregation. Most of the leaders were ministers who believed that dissent should begin at church. So who did he hire as the treasurer of this august group? None other than Stanley Levison, who was a communist Jew. Does that even make sense?
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't,
yeah.
Except that he was...
Lori, you have done so well with this research, and it's very extensive. I really want to encourage people to go to this Substack. I believe it's your most recent one, and you can do that at loricauley.substack.com. Lori, I had less time with you today because I have another guest coming up, but really want to encourage people to check out your Substack. You are seeking the truth above all and trying to pray about these headlines, figure out what to pray for. And I just think that's such a great, honorable mission and what we should be doing when it comes to news dissemination. So thank you so much, Lori.
Thank you, Christy.
You bet. On the topic of Christianity, just a couple quick quick things I want to mention. There is a uplifting story on LindellTV report right now. You can find that at LindellTV.com. It's about young men and Gen Z turning to Christianity in a big way, with a Make America Faithful Again movement gaining steam, spiritual revival. Experts saying church attendance is up, especially among Gen Z guys, thanks to a hunger for meaning. And so I really encourage you to read this article. You can find it again on LindellTV.com. Our Summer Lane wrote this and is encouraging about the rise of Christianity, particularly among young men. But, the enemy is down, but not out. Heartbreaking story from Rights Group reports that over 40 Christians were brutally murdered in a Catholic church in the Democratic Republic of Congo by Islamist rebels over the weekend. Absolutely horrific. Local leaders saying the attack happened in the east, with allied democratic forces claiming responsibility, and families left mourning as the violence escalates. Persecution of Christians not covered enough at all. So we're going to be sharing more of those stories. So tune in tonight. Get Free with Christy Lee. It's Tuesday night. You can watch it right here this evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to take a deeper dive on Christian persecution and what's being done about it. So don't miss that. Turning now to the economy, let's talk sense and sensibility. So we've got this trade deal with Europe locking in $750 billion in exports through 2028. Huge boost. Town Hall columnist Chris Tago is saying is putting America back on the map as an energy superpower, jobs galore, lower EU dependence on Russia. And even the editor of WSJ, which Trump might be suing, humiliates himself on Fox News by admitting tariffs are working. Watch.
Trump is in danger of proving the truth of an old joke about economists, which is that an economist is someone who sees something work in practice and explains why it will never work in theory. And Trump is challenging the theory that tariffs are terrible for the global economy. I'm with David. I was a skeptic. I still am. I still think we'd be better off without tariffs. But you have to say, so far, the tariffs that we have, which are significant, exactly as you say, Martha, they're not as significant as the ones that he initially proposed in April, but they are really big. The total average tariff now in the US is about 17-18% as a result of this EU deal. It was 2 to 3% before Donald Trump became president. A lot of people said that would be a disaster. It hasn't been a disaster. Bill Maher's right. The economy is growing, inflation is stable, the stock market is booming. So I think Donald Trump is demonstrating not only that he is a very, very good deal maker, and this deal with the European Union is an extraordinary one in those terms. It's an incredibly one-sided deal. It's like, you and me doing a deal and you end up.
So even editor of WSJ having to say, hey, this is working out great. We got it wrong. Like, this is working out. So I want to bring in my guest, Carlos Cortez, inventor of Solution of Ideas and Plans. He is a wealth investment advisor and has a America First philosophy when it comes to retirement and financial moves. So welcome in. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, Ellie. And just excited to be here and talk about whatever you guys want to throw at me. So go ahead and shoot.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're short on time. There's been so much to cover, but really, economy is one of the leading newsmakers right now. People very excited about that Trump is proving a lot of the naysayers wrong. I did see an article about making the case that stocks might be in a bubble, just with how they've been doing so well, hitting over 6,000 points just yesterday. Experts warning of overvaluations driven by AI hype and low interest rates. What do you think? Is it a bubble or a boom?
It's what I like to look at is the volatility index, which is the fear and greed index, because when we listen to like Yahoo Finance and Bloomberg and these experts, unfortunately, they're paid by big media, or they're associated with big media. And I call this, if you listen to my show, Scriptures and Wall Street, it goes back to pretty much ratings. So being a young guy as a stockbroker when I was a kid, I was calling around for internship, and I didn't understand this gentleman. I remember I was only like 17 years old looking for an internship on Wall Street, and I called Merrill Lynch, and I was talking about CNBC, about all the reporters. I asked him, who do you listen to? Who's your favorite reporter, financial reporter? And he started laughing at me. He said, if you're listening to that, then you will have a terrible, terrible malpractice lawsuit against you, because all that basically is going to mess you up. It is there to sell fear and greed. What us advisors look at is fear and greed index. And so it's called the VIX, the volatility index. And it took me about 15 to 20 years to understand what he meant, because I didn't want to believe that. But just like big pharma teaches their doctors about medicine, try bringing a holistic doctor into the world of pharmaceutical sales or in the hospitals and see what they have to say about that. It's the same thing in financial world, where there's so much different type of assets that are not being preached and taught about because their licenses literally block them from giving the best products to the client, which is scary. Because you literally can walk into a financial institution thinking you're getting the best advice, when that advice is literally only on that chassis of that firm's architects. So what I mean by that is I basically simplified this whole financial system into 3 different colors. Red money is going to be your stocks, your bonds, your mutual funds, your 401k, your IRAs. Green money is going to be accounts that your big banks don't have access to. An account that offers principal protection, offers anti-CBDC, basic accounts, offers unlimited growth with no fees and no risk. That is backed by insurance companies. Something that red money, as a former stockbroker, we weren't allowed to even offer to clients. So when it comes to,
so are you talking like annuities?
We're talking insurance-based contracts on green money, not necessarily annuities, but different types of insurance products that clients are benefiting right now. Because look, if you want to get into the NASDAQ, right? The NASDAQ right now, like you said, is heavily focused on AI, right? We have the big magnificent 7. Well, what if I told you can get 120% of the NASDAQ with no fees and no risk? Well, your current bank is not offering that. And the NASDAQ has yielded over 16.8% over the past 45 years. Since Trump got in 2016 and 2020, the NASDAQ has yielded over 100%. So are we in a burst or are we in a boom? It really doesn't matter if you have your assets positioned in a way where you're not going to get your lunch stolen. So that's what we do here. We offer solutions utilizing different colors of money. And me as a former stockbroker, I love option trade. I love all the risk stuff. But as a retirement planner, I can't do that with every client. And so it's really about transforming your portfolio to make sure that you are getting the upsides of the markets and not the downside, but also having liquidity that you can manage that risk, and also having tactical management so that you can grow with those with a regular brokerage account that's professionally managed. So unfortunately, a lot of people are getting hurt because the interest rates are supposed to come down, but we haven't been seeing that, obviously. And I'm on a huge trade called TMF. It's not investment advice, but basically it's 3 times the treasury yield on a bond, because those bond prices will come back up. Unfortunately, grandma got hurt during the Biden administration when they rose interest rates. Those bond prices come down. And it's sad because a lot of people rely on treasury bills to protect their principal, but it's still red money. It is still red money. It's still not protected. So we want to make sure our God-fearing patriots has a venue, has a way to not fund the woke media, to not fund ideas that really you are funding. Like one of the scariest things is that most of these funds actually fund the legislation of LGBT ideologies in legislative offices.
It is wild. I mean, and then let's not even forget to mention like Blackstone and all of these. And so like, let's try and get away from that. And America First Retirement. And that's what you focus on, Carlos. I want to get into a deeper conversation with you next time, Carlos. I'm out of time today, but with myself being a former stockbroker as well, I think we could have some interesting conversations. So let's give ourselves back out a little bit more time next time. So thank you so much, Carlos.
Let's do it, Christy. Love it. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I look forward to having you back. And that's it for DC Dispatch. I'm out of time, but don't forget to watch Get Free with Christy Lee tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on LindellTV.